following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
This is the Players Lounge, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your hosts, Barry Church, Danny McCray, and Newy Scruggs.
Here it is on a Friday. You know what time it is. It is time for the Players Lounge right here on DallasCowboys.com radio. I'm Newy Scruggs. Covered the team for a long time. Back to when these boys were guys. These guys were in maybe diapers when I was covering this team. Danny McCray and Barry Church, two former Dallas Cowboys DBs here on a Friday. All right, gentlemen. First off, how we doing? And we last left our conversation on the Friday talking about CeeDee Lamb. And we were all saying we wanted to see defense. So, Church, give me your thoughts on this draft for the Cowboys, and I want a grade on it. Yeah, man. Yeah, I want your thoughts and a grade. Yes. All right, McCray.
To replace Randall Cobb, who had big production last season, and they ended up getting that in the first round. And also the pick that we chose for the first round, they ended up still getting that in the second round. And then they followed that out with another corner. They shored up the D-line. They got him another quarterback for competition with Cooper Rush, and they picked up a center. I think they filled the needs on pretty much every position that they wanted to, and it's some good talent that they have coming in to create a lot of competition for some of these guys, specifically in the DB room. So I'm very happy about that, and I just can't wait to see how it all plays out once the season starts.
So, CeeDee Lamb goes in the first round for the Cowboys. Trevon Diggs, corner from Alabama, goes in round number 2. Round 3, it is Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle from Oklahoma. Round 4, Reggie Robinson from Tulsa, a tall corner who went to high school at Cleveland. So he's right down the road here in Dallas-Fort Worth. Also, they go back up in the 4th round. They take the Remington Award winner, Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin. Bradley Anae from Utah, the defender, and this is a guy who's spent a lot of time, almost 30 sacks at Utah. He ran a slow 40, so he's there in the 5th round. Then you got Ben DiNucci, quarterback from James Madison, who Mike McCarthy apparently knew. They take him in round 7. So those are the draft picks that they got here. I give the draft an A because what I wanted to see was a lot of defense. And they got us that after round 1. And when you think about round number 1 where they take CeeDee Lamb in Church, you and I were kind of on that same page of, wow, how do you bypass defense? But this was the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. He was number 6 on their draft board according to Will McClay and Stephen Jones. So you get that guy, and then you're able to go out and get a guy that we thought they should take in the first round in round number 2. That's winning all day long. So I give it a grade A because I felt like they touched on all their needs. And Danny, that was one of the things that you and I had spoke about and we talked about on this show, is that they needed to address needs in this draft. And I feel like they did that all the way.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, we lost a few pieces to free agency. Then we had some question marks, especially in the DB room with some guys who – they had questionable production from last year, and then Byron left, so we needed to fill those voids in there, and we did that. We got a first-round graded corner in the second, and we also added some crazy offensive firepower now. So I think we have probably one of the top receiving cores in the NFL. So we leave the draft with covering our defensive backs, allowing our defensive line to rush, and then we also picked up one of the top receivers in the draft. So, I mean, I don't think we could have done any better.
All right, Church. So here's Trevon Diggs, 6'1" guy, and here's Robinson, Reggie Robinson, another 6'1" guy. Will McCray spoke about how they want long corners, and they talked about how receivers in this league are getting bigger and bigger, so they wanted to be able to match up with that. So give me your opinion on, without having an OTA right now in a mini camp, and maybe who knows when they ultimately have training camp, how quick could these guys possibly start, Barry?
I think it's going to be extremely tough, especially with no offseason program that we can see in the near future. The OTAs, we don't know what's going to happen with them, mini camp, and then training camp, we just don't know. So it's going to be hard for a guy coming straight out of college to transition into the NFL and then pick up a playbook extremely fast and be able to contribute to this defense. So I think it's going to be hard. So I think it gives a kind of a disservice to the rookies, but kind of a service to the veterans who are already kind of there. They can get the playbook in and know what kind of to expect. But overall, like you said, this is a new defense coming in. It's a new coaching staff, so every player doesn't know what to kind of expect. So I guess they're kind of all on even keel. But overall, I think the veterans that are in the room that have been in the NFL, have experience playing, and know how to play this game, I think that'll give them the advantage and disadvantage to all the rookies coming in. But we'll see what happens at the end.
Barry Church, Danny McCray, Newy Scruggs. We are the Players Lounge. Go ahead, Danny.
No, I was just saying, with the exception of those first two picks, I feel the same as Barry. Diggs should be able to step in and be a starter, and CeeDee Lamb should be able to step in. But those other guys, I think they'll be behind the eight ball once we get started.
All right, Danny, stay with me right there on talking about DBs. So we heard that, hey, there's some guys who could possibly move. We spoke about Chido Awuzie possibly going to safety. I don't know, maybe it was about 3 episodes ago here on the Players Lounge, and now it's getting more and more steam that they could move Chido to corner. They also signed a free agent, Daryl Worley, who's also got some ability to play safety. So where do we think that is going to end up going for the? And Chido, by the way, is in the final year of his contract.
Go ahead, Danny.
You got it.
Well, it's going to be. I think it's going to be tough, man, because like you said, it's a crowded room right now. You got Worley, who I believe was a former first-round pick, and he has size and versatility. I mean, this is a guy who's 6'3". I think he's 215 pounds, so he's big enough and versatile enough to play corner, and he can play safety. So, and I think the same with Awuzie as well. Coming out of college, people weren't sure if he was going to be a corner or a safety going into the league. He ended up playing corner, but this could be a situation like Byron Jones, where he was at safety at the beginning of his career. People were kind of counting him as a bust, and then they moved him to corner, and he blossomed. So maybe this will be the same type of situation with Awuzie, where if they do decide to move him back to safety, he can reach his full potential and end up blossoming as well. So we'll have to see what happens on that. But we got a lot of versatile players on this secondary, and I like to see what they do with moving these pieces.
Yeah, listen, if they move Chido Awuzie to DB, he will not see the field. I mean, we talked about. Yeah, to safety. If we talked about them having 2 starting caliber safeties already, so I don't see him being able to crack that starting lineup over 2 guys who have proven experience at safety. So, at most he might be one of those guys who comes in on cover 1 to cover a tight end. But as far as him seeing significant playing time, if he's at safety, I don't see that happening.
All right, Danny, stay with me here. You guys have been a part of teams where you've watched them make drafts and free agent signings and bringing in people at your position. So how do guys handle that? How do you handle that from a mental standpoint, knowing that as Bill Parcells used to say, Jimmy Johnson used to say, I'm drafting your replacement. I'm bringing in somebody to take your job.
Man, it's tough on the psyche, man. I remember sitting there watching the draft every season that I played just to see like how high they would pick up a safety. And thankfully for us, we had guys like Gerald Sensabaugh and Church, guys that were already proven, so they didn't feel like they needed to go up that high and draft a safety, as far as somebody who needed to come in and start. So we really looked to free agency to bring in guys. And we spoke about Bradley Poole last episode, and that was a guy that they came in just to kind of create a little bit of competition, but we had guys who could beat them out. So for me, as long as they didn't draft somebody in the first or second, I knew I was okay, and I was more special teams, but I knew me and Church would be able to stay in that room.
Church?
Yeah,
what's
I'm
the
not.
mentality like?
I'm not gonna lie. I hated it. I mean, I used to watch the draft. I mean, consistently. Me and like you said, me and Sensabaugh, McCray. All right, that first round went by. All right, cool. They ain't picked nobody up in our position. Second round went by. All right, cool. Third round, all right, we're good. So once third round went by, I was like, all right, I'm good. But I used to hate it, man. I remember when they brought in Wilcox, who's a great friend of mine right now. But when they first brought him in, I'm like, oh, here we go. They done brought in I think it was a second round or third round safety, man. They trying to replace your boy, man. So I took it as like disrespect. But once I got to know Wilcox, and then he started getting all these interceptions and OTAs, so I was like, man, I can't do this no more. This is gonna be some bull crap. But he ended up, we ended up being real good friends and playing beside each other the whole time. So, I mean, you just got to look at it different ways. I hated it through my experience, just to be honest.
Well, I feel like the Cowboys have done something that we needed to see that we haven't the past couple seasons. And that's really bringing some competition in the room, man. And all over the board, no more sacred cows. The dude's got to come in here and earn jobs and feeling some pressure. So we see it in the defensive back room. We see it on the D-line group. I mean, one of the things I immediately thought of when I saw Gallimore from Oklahoma is, hey, Tristan Hill better wake up. You better wake up, because they are sitting here right now drafting someone at your position. They have signed Dontari Poe. They have signed Gerald McCoy. This is, if Tristan Hill don't get it right, he could end up going the way of Taco Charlton, who they ended up cutting. Taco signed in Miami, and yesterday Taco was cut by the Miami Dolphins.
Saved him $1.3 million. Get him out of there. Said his attitude wasn't right, huh?
Well, I guess at the end of the day, the attitude continued. That's the saddest thing. The attitude continued, man.
In that situation, once you get a fresh start, it's supposed to be you realize what you did wrong, and then you come in with a new attitude and try to impress the guys there. And I think the 5 sacks might have made his head a little bigger than it should have been.
Well, according to Miami Herald, he was deactivated for 3 of his final 5 games, and I don't know how much you guys paid attention to the Dolphins, but the rough start that they had, especially when we saw them in Game 3 at Jerry World, where the Cowboys handled them pretty well, and they had to bring in the 2 quarterbacks, Fitzgerald and Rosen. We saw toward the end, the Miami Dolphins started understanding what it is Brian Flores wanted, and by the fact that they started getting better, and they told Taco Charlton to take a seat the same way the Cowboys were telling him to take a seat. That was pretty damning. It was pretty damning, and I don't know where he goes after this, because you had a team that used a first-round pick on you who wanted to see you succeed, and then another team that needed some help, and by the end they're like, we don't want you, and they've now moved on from him. So I don't know where Taco goes, but the word I kept hearing was entitled. And when I start thinking about what's ahead for Tristan Hill's got a problem. He's got a problem of people thinking that here's another guy like Taco Charlton who's not taking this serious, who's got an attitude problem. That's what I'm hearing. And so if I'm Tristan Hill and I see what they've done in free agency and the draft, I'd be on my giddy up right now, man. I'd be on my giddy up just knowing that whenever you hit the field, that you got to save your career, man.
Yeah, you got to, for this one, you do not want to get labeled those. I mean, when you go into NFL, there's 2 things you don't want to get labeled as, and that's entitled or uncoachable. And when you get those 2 tags, I mean, the word travels faster around the NFL than people realize. And if you get those 2 tags on you, you kind of become untouchable. So hopefully Taco can, get maybe one more chance and kind of rewrite what is sown about him. But Tristan, like you're right about Tristan Hill. It's time for him to wake up, man. Like you said, he was a higher draft pick, and he got to start producing if he wants to stay around.
Church, what do you think? What is the expectation for Tristan
Danny,
Hill?
I bring up the wake.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Danny?
I said, what's your expectation for Tristan Hill now? Right now, he watched the draft. He watched how it unfolded. What is he doing right now? What is he thinking?
If I'm Tristan Hill, I'm getting as cool as I can with the special teams coach, and trying to do as much as I can special teams wise, because I mean the competition they brought in, it's going to be tough for him to see the field unless he just miraculously changes his whole approach to the game. So if I'm him, I'm trying to change my approach and getting best friends with the special teams coach.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's smart. he got to do something to get an advantage over the rest of the guys, because if you going off last year's tape, it's something that they saw in these other guys that they think are better than you. So every advantage you can, the more you can do. You better get on field goal block and field goal protection.
anything.
And the fact that you've got a coaching staff who's not married to you. I mean, this was a Rod Marinelli pick. Tristan Hill was. I mean, Rod's gone. He's in Oakland right now. So you got nobody here to save you. That nobody really cares about you like that. So he better be ready to go. Another position battle that's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Cowboys is at the center position. So Travis Frederick ended up retiring. Joe Looney, from what I was told, Joe Looney could start for about 50% of the teams in the NFL. They think that he's that talented of a player. But Joe Looney's up for the job. Connor McGovern from Penn State, drafted as a guard but played a year at center at Penn State. I've heard Connor Williams' name thrown out there, but obviously when they drafted Tyler Biadasz, who was the Remington Award winner out of Wisconsin, he'll be in that mix. So you've got three guys who could possibly end up being the starting center for the Cowboys. And let's be honest, Connor Williams is not a lock for that guard position. So this is going to be interesting one more time to see, there's another position battle at camp. But we know Zach Martin is safe, all-decade player. The two tackles are safe. But the center and the guard right now, we don't know who's going to line up for the Cowboys in 2020. That's a position battle to definitely look at.
Yeah, that's a big-time position battle to look at. And like Danny said before, it's the more you can do. I think if you don't earn that starting job, like you said, those guard positions are locked, those tackles are locked. If you don't earn the position on the squad, it's what can you do and the versatility. Can you be that swing tackle? Can you play all three interior lineman positions? So it's the more you can do, I think the more versatile linemen will be kept. But like you said, it's going to be a big-time competition for those offensive line spots. And I'm looking forward to camp to seeing who's going to come out on top with that victory.
Yeah, it's huge, and the only unfortunate thing. I said the only unfortunate thing about this is the lack of a training camp or the lack of OTAs that could possibly happen. So the competition that we are hoping to see, we might not be able to see as much of it.
Danny, how much can they really get done with virtual training?
Offensive line and defensive line, not much. That's in the trenches. That is, you got to get your hands on somebody. You got to learn and make sure that your pad level is correct. You got to keep getting repping those things so that it can become a habit. And you can lose that habit within 3 months that you won't be doing any football and just being on a computer. So I mean, it'll be more tough for the offensive line and defensive line. Receivers and DBs a little easier, but they also need to be on the field going through those motions as well.
This is going to be, an interesting time for all these teams like the Cowboys. You look at the New York Giants. You look at Washington. Anybody that's got a new head coach not being able to have that opportunity to really teach. And so much I think fans don't understand is teaching. And that's what good coaches are. They're teachers, and being able to figure out how you teach, because guys learn in different ways. Some guys they have to be taught on the field. Some guys you can teach them, on the board in the room. So just that's going to be interesting to see how the Cowboys, when they are finally able to get out here and play, how much is McCarthy and Mike Nolan, how much they're behind putting in their system, and how quickly they can teach it to guys, and then maybe what concepts maybe you can keep from what you had before, and then maybe implement a little bit of what they have to do later on, Danny. That's something that I'm very interested to see how they attack.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Like I said, in 2010, when Rob Ryan came in, and we didn't have any OTAs, and we just went straight to training camp, that was probably one of the toughest learning sessions that we've been a part of, because he had a very, very thick playbook, and we were just trying to cram everything in to get ready for that first preseason and then first regular season game. And we made a lot of mistakes. It's hard to learn that stuff just on the board and looking at the paper and the playbook. You got to be out there and get those reps and go through situational football. And without that, the game will look a lot different, especially to start the season.
And I think it's going to be a lot harder for the younger guys who are trying to play multiple positions, who are like maybe third and fourth on the depth chart, but trying to see if they can become a corner or a slot corner or a safety, because they have to learn all three of those different positions just to make the team. The guys that are kind of on the team already entrenched at their position, Dak, Amari Cooper, Xavier Woods, for example, but those guys already know what their position is, so they just got to lock on that one position and learn that. I think it's going to be tough for the younger guys who got to learn 3 or 4 different positions, but we'll see.
All right, we are talking about the draft and the impact of it right here on the Players Lounge on Newy Scruggs. Danny McCray and Barry Church joining me as well. Those guys are former Dallas Cowboys DBs. Let us give some praise to Will McClay and the job that he did. I thought Will McCray everywhere along this board had the Cowboys in a position to take a player that in my mind shouldn't have fallen. CeeDee Lamb, there's no way in the world you could have told me the number one wide receiver in the draft would fall at 17. I scoffed at it. I laughed at it all day long. I said, people stop. I wrote a column in Dallas Morning News. Don't even think about CeeDee Lamb, that you need to go defense. And CeeDee Lamb is there. Trevon Diggs is there. I just thought all along the way, Will McCray has done an outstanding job of making sure the Cowboys had an impact draft. And if we look at how and what Will has done since he took over drafting for the Cowboys, I just think this is one of the best evaluators of talent in the National Football League, and I just feel like he's got to get more credit. And I think the Jones family did a good job calling him the MVP, but I just can't say enough good things about what this guy brings to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm a big Will McCray fan. One, because he's a Houston guy. He's from the great city of Houston in the great state of Texas. And Will McCray is one of the guys who actually looked out for me when I first got here. So I have a special place in my heart for Will, and I'm very happy that he was in that room controlling all of this, because that A grade, I'm giving 90% of it to him.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, D-Mac, on that one. Like you said, he was one of the guys that brought me in as an undrafted free agent, kind of believed in me. And, I mean, he's been hitting for the past 10 years on these drafts. I mean, look at the All-Pros and Pro Bowlers that he's already drafted. I mean, you got Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. I mean, guys like that, Dez Bryant. I mean, he's all over the board. So huge shouts out to Will. I mean, he got another draft right, and hopefully we can see them produce on the field.
One of the things that he said when asked about the draft was Mike McCarthy told him players over scheme. And one of the things I've learned to do as a reporter is sometimes it's what guys don't say, or reading into what they say, and you kind of get an answer. One thing we knew, when they drafted Taco Charlton over T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt was ready to be a higher player, we were told scheme fit, which was code for Rod didn't think T.J. Watt could play in his scheme, and Taco Charlton did. Well, we now know that's a mistake. And so when Will said that, I immediately thought about, okay, this is the previous coaching regime, that there may have been some players that Will and the scouts thought, hey, this is a guy we like, but the coaches didn't feel that he fit their scheme, and the coaches didn't want to do it. So here's Mike McCarthy adopting what Tony Dungy's adopted, which is, hey, get me the players, and we'll figure out how to use them.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that one, man. I feel like, you know,
okay.
I feel like Garrett's staff, I mean, had a great approach to it as well. I mean, look at the drafted players they've gotten through the past 10 years, or through Garrett's tenure. I mean, I think they have the most Pro Bowl drafted players of all NFL teams. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's right. And so I can't. And look at the scheme fits. I mean, look, we had the best offensive line going for 5 years in a row, I believe. So I mean, just a simple fact that he said scheme, players over scheme, just because we got this draft right. I mean, I don't believe it. I think it's always been that way, and the proof is in the pudding with the players that he's drafted in the past being Pro Bowlers. So I don't think it's just because of Mike McCarthy. I just think Will's just a great guy when it comes to drafting players.
Yeah, and I'm 50-50 following that one. I'm with Church and Newy, just because if you think about what we had to draft when Romo was playing, we had to draft offensive linemen to protect him. So you couldn't just say players over scheme. You needed guys who could protect Tony so he could throw those touchdowns. So I think some of it goes to what you need at that time for a certain player, or what you want to do as an offense. And then when you have that set up like you already do here as far as the offensive line and some positions on the defensive line, you can go say, hey, players over scheme. You already had two top receivers. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, go get me another one. You already pretty much had your offensive line set up. So on offense, only thing you needed was a receiver. So you could pick any offensive player that you wanted, and they could fit into what we already had. So I'm 50-50 on that one. I think it just depends on where your team is and how you plan on playing the game of football in the upcoming season. So Mike McCarthy and JG, I think they both did good jobs.
We got to take our first time out right here on the Players Lounge. When we come back, we will dive into the numbers chosen by these rookies. That's been an interesting conversation. And what happened in Green Bay. Where does this end up going? And also, ESPN, as always, continuing to put the Cowboys in a interesting light whenever they talk about them. I'm Newy Scruggs, Danny McCray and Barry Church. We are the Players Lounge.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS One score, September 2019.
Back to the Players Lounge.
All right, Friday Players Lounge right here on DallasCowboys.com radio. I am Newy Scruggs, joined by former Dallas Cowboys DBs Barry Church and Danny McCray. So they have given out numbers to the rookies. So quarterback Ben DiNucci is number 1. Bradley and I, the defensive end, is 51. Tyler Biadasz is 63. Reggie Robinson is 41. Neville Gallimore is 75. Trevon Diggs is 31. And CeeDee Lamb takes over the famed 88.
Hey, Chris, can you mute?
So I'm thinking about this one more time. The 88 jersey, made famous by Drew Pearson, made famous by Michael Irvin, hit a dormant with Antonio Bryant, who threw the 88 jersey in Bill Parcells' face, followed by Dez Bryant, who wore the 88. So CeeDee Lamb said he wanted to wear 10. Jerry Jones spoke of him wearing 88, so he's wearing the 88. Fellas, your thoughts on CeeDee Lamb wearing that iconic number? Barry, go ahead. Your thought. You go ahead.
I thought we was gonna be on. I thought we was on Danny. I'm over here just looking. But yeah, my thoughts on the 88, man. It's funny. It's a funny story because, like you said, everybody seems to skip Antonio Bryant when it comes to the 88 jersey. But overall, it's a tough number to hold accountable. I mean, like you said, there's been greats in there. There's been Pearson. There's been Michael Irvin. Dez Bryant, who's I think has the all-time touchdown record for the Dallas Cowboys. So I mean, it's a tough number to kind of fill the shoes of those guys. But if anybody could do it, I guess CeeDee Lamb can. I mean, he's the number 1 rated receiver. They all said his pro comparison was to Dez Bryant. So hopefully he can rep that 88 jersey well. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Just because I thought the 88 jersey went to the number 1 receiver on the team, and right now I think the $100 million man is Amari Cooper. So we'll see 88 on the field and off the field. And I don't know if he'll be a starter coming into the game. I think that was to some extent it was a money move because that 88 jersey sells like hotcakes for Jerry. So it'll be coming off the shelves this season. But he is not the number 1 receiver on this team, which 88 usually goes to.
Now, I appreciate everybody on Dallas Cowboys Twitter weighing in here, and a lot of people feel like Jerry Jones strong-armed CeeDee Lamb taking 88 because CeeDee initially said he was going to wear number 10. And I did have a buddy of mine who mentioned that, and I said, well, isn't Jerry Jones probably the number one marketer out there when it comes to National Football League? So if Jerry said wear the 88, is that really a bad idea to wear it if Jerry says it? What do you think?
I don't think it's a bad idea for him to wear it, but I think he was. Your boy is definitely right. He definitely got rock bottomed into wearing that 88 jersey. But I mean, it's a smart move for him to wear it because I believe some of the jersey sales go to the players. So if they're selling like hotcakes, especially down in Dallas, I mean he's going to get a portion of that money. So hey, I mean it's a smart move on his behalf.
Yeah, 88 is going to sell, and Jerry knows that there's always a high sales on the number 88 jersey, and CeeDee Lamb will benefit from that. But this is more of a Jerry marketing move than it is. I want to see him be the next great 88. I think it's more marketing, more money.
Maybe it was the respect they had for Tavon Austin. They just didn't want to give away Tavon to number 10.
Retire number 10.
They want to let Tay R.I.P. for a little bit before they just give away the number 10.
they saving the number 10 for Dez, man. They switching out numbers. Dez on his way back.
Oh, here we go.
Stop it. See the fact that Jerry, who once said he was dreaming about Dez in the shower, is now dreaming about another 88, and he wanted to put that on CeeDee Lamb. So Dez is done. You now know Dez is done. So Dez put up Twitter videos. Maybe he can go to Buffalo or Minnesota or something. But Dez is not coming back.
He can go to Arizona. He got some places to go, man. Dez would be playing this season.
I don't know Dez. I don't see Dez in Arizona though. I mean, that's going on. That's a track meet out there they're trying to run, but it's not going to be here. I mean, the fact that Jerry on draft night was trying to give away the 88, that told you they were done with it. And so for all these fans who've been hitting us up on Twitter talking about Dez is the number 3 receiver, no, they got 3 receivers, and your 4th receiver, you guys can speak to this because your 4th receiver has to play special teams, and Dez doesn't play special teams.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But, I mean, like I said, he'll be playing somewhere. He'll be making some plays this season, this upcoming season somewhere. Just not sure where at the moment.
All right, let's return to the draft here, fellas. I thought the one team, at least when I did my mock draft, I thought the Saints could take a run at Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. But when I saw Green Bay traded up to go get Jordan Love, I was shaking my head because we know Drew Brees is at the end. He's already agreed to join NBC Sports when his time with the Saints are done. So I'm thinking this will be Drew Brees' last dance this year. But Aaron Rodgers has a big contract that he spoke about playing till 40, and he's 36 right now. When I saw what happened to Love, knowing that they needed to get a wide receiver, Danny, I shook my head saying, are they trying to mess with this man? What's going on in Green Bay? What was your thoughts,
man? It's confusing up there, man, because you got A-Rod, and you go back and you look at the number 1 receivers that they've drafted, like in the first round, and they haven't done that for him. And when you got a guy like that, you want to get as many weapons around him as possible, especially when you're coming off a season like you did where you're 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Like, you got to get this guy some help and show that you're all in on trying to win while he's here, not building for the future. And it's very confusing that they would draft this guy this high when there are other players out there on the board that you could have went and added as weapons for Aaron Rodgers to get. It just shows that, to me, they're looking toward the future, which doesn't make much sense to me because Aaron Rodgers is still playing as a top 5 quarterback in the league.
I'm back
and
now,
you're
fellas.
paying him, so
I missed the question, though.
You're paying him. Okay, so Barry, I'll pose it to you. We look up on draft night, and I had said when I did my mock draft, I had the Saints taking Jordan Love out of Utah State, the quarterback, because I felt like, all right, this is probably the end for Drew Brees, especially once we knew he agreed to a deal with NBC Sports to join their crew, that maybe this would be it for him. So the Saints going ahead, possibly, getting Love, but we see the Green Bay Packers trading up to go get Aaron Rodgers' replacement. And here's a team that Danny and I spoke about. They played in the NFC Championship game. I thought they were going to go wide receiver. They didn't do it. So, Danny, if you're playing for the Green Bay Packers, not just Aaron Rodgers, if you're the team, What do you think about a move that's made like this where Love isn't even going to touch the field this year to help them?
Yeah,
that was for you, Barry.
Yeah, I'd be. This whole situation to me is confusing. I mean, like you said, you got a guy who was a game away from taking the team to the Super Bowl, and I mean, and like you said, he had a down year, but his numbers were still, I think, remarkable. I mean, he had maybe 5 or 6 interceptions, and I think he threw about 25 touchdowns. And like you said, they were 13-3, and they were a game away from winning going to the Super Bowl. So for them to pick up a guy who's not going to see the field, in my opinion, for the first 2 years at least, I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I feel like they should have added a piece that can help them get to that next level, like a receiver, maybe another tight end of some sorts. But for them to not even focus on that for the first round, and then if we look back throughout his whole NFL career, I don't even know if they've chosen a skill position, especially receiver, in the first round at Green Bay since he's been there. And if you look at the numbers, he's only thrown 1 touchdown to 1 first-round receiver. So for him, I think it's just, if I'm him, I'm kind of upset about this because they're not giving me pieces to further my career in Green Bay and get a win. So they're already looking for my replacement. I'm pissed, but we'll see if cooler heads prevail.
Fellas, I look at Peyton Manning and what Bill Polian did and how he positioned him. So when Peyton Manning got to the Colts, they had Marvin Harrison. So Marvin Harrison, a first-round pick. They drafted Reggie Wayne, first-round pick at wide receiver. They drafted Anthony Gonzalez, first-round pick at wide receiver. They drafted Dallas Clark out of Iowa, tight end, first-round receiver. They drafted Edgerrin James, first-round running back. They drafted Donald Brown, first-round running back. They drafted another kid at LSU who was a first-round running back. And I just sit there, all this talent, they kept making sure Peyton Manning had weapons. And to see what has happened for Aaron Rodgers, I shake my head. Now, look, Peyton is going to go in the Hall of Fame, and I believe Aaron Rodgers has a Hall of Fame resume. But, fellas, you see how much it does matter when your organization tries to build around a guy and just say, here are more pieces. And I just feel Aaron Rodgers has had a disservice done to him by the way what Green Bay just did in this past draft, and when you start looking at how many pieces they actually try to put around this guy. Danny, take that one.
Yeah, I think it was more glaring last season when Davante Adams went out that you don't have enough on offense. Jimmy Graham was supposed to be the guy who could pick up a little bit. They don't have him anymore. He really didn't produce. But without Davante Adams, you were putting in these guys that Aaron Rodgers probably didn't even know their name. So, if it's anything throughout the season where you're looking and you say, hey, man, for the next season, we got to make sure that we have a guy that can complement Davante Adams, then this is what we need to do. And you watch the whole season last year. He goes out with the toe injury. They can't get anything going on offense except Aaron Jones out there scoring crazy touchdowns, which was saving them playing some okay defense. And you get into the draft this year and you forget about that, I remember that. And I'm not even a fan of the Packers. I remember how bad they looked without their number one receiver, and the coaching staff looks at this in the first round and goes, "Oh yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So let's try something else." Doesn't make sense to me at all. I will never understand it. I am perplexed.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all, man. I mean, when Davante Adams went down, I mean, you got guys that turned into number one receivers, like I think his name was Alan Lazard, and he was on the practice squad in Jacksonville when I was down there, and he turned him into a number one receiver. It's just remarkable the lack of talent they had at a receiver, and he was still putting up, in my opinion, good numbers. So it's just remarkable that they didn't get anybody to help him out this offseason, and I think the writing's on the wall that he won't be there much longer, but I think the fault here is at Green Bay, and they're messing up a Hall of Fame guy right now.
And I'll take this back to the Cowboys. And I'll take this back to the Cowboys. If you're Dak Prescott, you've got to be very happy with what this team has done. I mean, you go into an 11 personnel where you got one tight end, one running back, and Mike McCarthy ran 11 personnel 80% of his time with the Green Bay Packers. So you're talking about putting out Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and then you've got the big boy they re-signed, Blake Jarwin, over at the tight end spot, and Ezekiel Elliott. If you're Dak Prescott right now and that offensive line in front of you, you got to feel real good. I mean, you go ahead and get your contract done because, and I can see why Dak would want 4 years, because with that get up here in 4 years, you should be able to put up some fantastic numbers here and get back out on the market. But if I'm Dak, I'm really excited about what the Cowboys have put around me as a quarterback.
Newy, is it possible that they are going to make Dak play it out to see if he can put up all-pro numbers this season with the talent he has around him before they pay him a long-term deal?
No, because and go back to what's been reported, and some of the people who've been reporting this, I trust, they've agreed to a number. It's now years. So this is Dak wants a 4-year deal. The Cowboys are like a 5 to 6 year deal. So this isn't so much about money now. This is about the number of years. And from Dak's perspective, he wants a short 4-year deal because that's what we saw guys like Goff sign and Wentz sign, and Russell Wilson signed a 4-year deal and got himself back out on the market quickly. So Dak's 26. So you sign a 4-year deal, you get back here and you're 30 years old, you're in the prime. And now that we see guys are playing until they're 40 years old, if you're Dak, you get back out on the market with basically 10 years left of your career. So I see what Dak's trying to do, and at the same time, I see if you're the Cowboys, what do you want to do? You want to get a long-term deal. Look at that long-term deal they got done with Tyron Smith. I mean, the Cowboys are reaping the benefits of that. Tyron got security, but the Cowboys, from their perspective, man, they were able to really get him locked in, and he's still, in my opinion, I think about Tyron Smith, I think he's an underpaid tackle. So this is business, man, and I get it. We'll see as they get closer to July 15th who decides to blink first.
If somebody blinks first, I just think it's a possibility that he plays on that tag this year, especially with everything how it's playing out with the pandemic and no offseason and no OTAs and possibly a shortened training camp. It's becoming more of a possibility in my mind than it was before we started going through all of this.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, D-Mac. I think it's more of a possibility that he plays under this tag. Oh, go ahead, Newy.
No. Finish up, Barry. Finish up.
Oh, I was saying that I just think it's more of a possibility. I mean, you got a guy who he's getting a new coaching staff that's coming in. They want to see if he's that good under their new scheme, and before they give him over $120 million guaranteed. So I can see him playing under the tag, but will he miss games? That's another question. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And fellas, I go back to what I said before about Dak Prescott, and even more. I believe this even more so now once I saw what happened with CeeDee Lamb. There's not another situation he can go to right now that's better and built around him better than what he's got with the Cowboys. He grew up a Cowboy fan. This is a guy making more money right now off the field than he's made on it for his rookie contract. You don't let that go. You don't mess that up. They will get I feel that they will get a long-term deal done. I'm not as confident that I'm going to bet Danny another dinner because I don't want to have to go back to that particular place and pay up. But I'm real confident, okay? I'm real confident that this thing is going to get done before July 15th. And Stephen Jones is on record already, again, being asked at the draft. He goes back to what we spoke about here on the show before. The Joneses have always gotten their man. They want him to be their guy. They'll get it done. So it's just a matter of whether the Joneses are going to cave in the 4-year deal or whether they stay on their heels and try and get a 5 or 6 year deal for Dak Prescott. I feel very confident about that. We got to take one more break here. All right, one more break. And when we come back, ESPN starting it up with the Cowboys again. I want to dive into this. And also, The Last Dance had a very interesting cameo that involves one of us here that we'll dive into that special on Michael Jordan and the Bulls. We'll do that next right here on the Players Lounge on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team. Get yours today in the Stadium Pro Shop or at Stetson.com.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down, based on GWS 1 score September 2019.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
So, you're shopping, and that's when you see it. Aisle 23. Dr. Pepper stacked from top to bottom as far as the eye can see. The phrase too good to be true comes to mind, yet there it is. A rich, delicious Dr. Pepper paradise. Wait, did that can of Dr. Pepper just open itself for you? They all are. As if to say, so nice to treat you. And even though it feels weird to talk to a can, you pick one up and say, it's so nice to be treated. Dr. Pepper, so nice to treat you.
Back to the Players Lounge.
All right, Players Lounge on a Friday. Barry Church, Danny McCray, former Dallas Cowboys DBs. I'm Newy Scruggs, longtime reporter covering the team. Now, look, fellas, I don't watch the ESPN shows in the morning, and most of what I get is on my Twitter feed when people send me clips and things that they say. So ESPN is now wondering, are the Cowboys the favorites in the NFC? And I'm just sitting to myself saying, really? Are we going here already? Because it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to start wondering, hey, are the Cowboys going to win the NFC? We got a new coaching staff that's got to implement stuff. And a part of me really does wonder, do they just throw this stuff out there just to try and tick people off? Because I just think how do you forget what the San Francisco 49ers just did? If there's anybody that's a favorite in the NFC, it should be the 49ers for what they did in the Super Bowl. They almost won the thing if Jimmy Garoppolo could throw a touchdown pass to Emmanuel Sanders, who he missed. Danny McCray, take that.
Yeah, listen, we all know that the Cowboys are the number one topic for any sports show to talk about, right? And especially now when there's not much sports going on, they always have to come up with some type of scenario that will put us at the top to knock us down if we don't make it, or put us at the bottom, and then it'll make us feel good if we do just somehow win the NFC. I will say that with the talent that we have on the offensive side of the ball, that it is a possibility that we can overtake the 49ers for that crown, especially with Jimmy G playing quarterback. We all know how I feel about that guy from my fantasy team last year. But, I mean, it's possible, but we shouldn't be getting crowned that today, just based off what we have on paper, because history shows that we always have a great team on paper, but when we get on the field, sometimes it just doesn't pan out how we expect it to.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like you said, history has shown, especially like we've seen just last year. I mean, we were crowned the offseason champs. We were supposed to go in there, and after those first 3 games, we thought, this team was going to be unstoppable, maybe even undefeated. Boys were already booking their tickets to Miami, but it just didn't end up working that way. So I think, like you said, right now we kind of won the offseason, as they say, and maybe we'll be able to take over that crown as the regular season champ. But we got to put in the work first. We got to go out there and do what we got to do first. But on paper, this team pretty much seems unstoppable.
On paper champs, baby. Paper champs. As of today, it's a new regime in the building, though, man. So we may be able to expect a little bit more. I just think we should be putting up 35 to 40 points a game.
Yeah, hopefully not giving up 60.
We got DBs now, man. Newy's happy with our defensive back room.
So what did you guys think of Philadelphia drafting Jalen Hurts in the second round?
Listen, it was almost one of those Aaron Rodgers situations, because we know how often Carson Wentz gets hurt. So maybe now you may be looking for the next guy up, man. He really hasn't played that well, in my opinion. Nick Foles kind of carried them to the Super Bowl. He was having an MVP season, and then the next season he came back and he looked average. So Jalen Hurts is kind of like that new class. You see Lamar Jackson rolling out there, and you see like the new class of quarterbacks, the Russell Wilson and all that, and Jalen Hurts fits that. So we may be seeing the end of the Carson Wentz era in the next year or two.
I think I might have to disagree a little bit, man. I think they done gave that man way too much money. So I feel like as long as he can stay healthy, if the man can play through 16 games, playoffs, if that would have happened, I think he has nothing to worry about. Even if his numbers are pedestrian, if he can play through 16 games, I think they're going to stick with him. But like you said, I mean, he is kind of injury prone. But if he can stay healthy, he might be able to capture that form he had back in, I think, 2014 when they had went, or no, not 2014, 2016. I'm sorry, or 17. I'm sorry, when they had went to the Super Bowl and he was an MVP candidate. So if he can recapture that form, I think he has nothing to worry about.
That's tough to recapture, man.
that is tough to recapture. And he did have a lot of offensive weapons. So we're going to see, man. We're going to see.
He had weapons. I seen him the next year. I was like, man, this ain't the same guy. This is not him.
He's a little tentative in that pocket now.
Phillies played.
Go ahead, Newy.
Phillies played 6 playoff games under Doug Peterson since Carson Wentz has been there, and Carson Wentz has played a total of 9 snaps in those 6 football games. So when you think about those numbers, drafting Jalen Hurts ain't the craziest thing. If anything, this dude may play. Jalen Hurts may end up being the guy because Carson's been hurt every year since his junior year of college. So while people can sit up here and say, why'd you use a second-round pick? I think when you start looking at the numbers, and if they go to, when the NFL goes to 17 games, not this year, but the year after that, you're going to have a legitimate backup guy. And Barry, you're right, they wasted a lot of money on Carson Wentz because the guy can stay healthy.
Exactly, but let me ask you a question, Newy, Danny, both of y'all. Do we honestly think that Carson Wentz, but Jalen Hurts can come in and be that guy? To me, I'm not sold. I think he's more of a gimmick guy, but I mean, we'll see. What are your thoughts?
I think if you have a good defense and you have a running back and a receiver to run that RPO and zone read, I think Jalen Hurts can get that done. He's a proven winner. He's shown that he's able to pick up new offenses and compete at the highest level. He did at Alabama. He also did it at Oklahoma. I think that if you put the right tools around him and the right coaches to help him get better at throwing and making those reads, I think he can be a starting caliber quarterback, and I think he can overtake Carson Wentz if Carson Wentz is not healthy or he's having one of those down seasons that we've seen him have before.
I think people's problem with Jalen Hurts is a perception problem. That, hey, you lost your job at Alabama. Well, who'd you lose your job to? You lost your job to Tua Tagovailoa, who was the 5th pick in the draft with a bad hip. Tua's a special player. So he goes out to Oklahoma, replaces Kyler Murray, who's the number 1 pick in the draft. Oklahoma still wins the Big 12 title. They go back to the college football playoff. I think Jalen Hurts, when you look at this league, the star for quarterbacks, I think Jalen Hurts can play. And I'll give Doug Peterson a lot of credit. I believe he'll be able to put a package around Hurts, which will be able to work. So I think the young man is going to be able to come in here and play. And Lord knows, the way people doubted Lamar Jackson and what he did in year 2, hey, look, if Wentz is hurt one more time, Philly may be forced to go ahead and just say, hey, Jalen, take this thing. So I think while they're being criticized today, give Howie Roseman this as a general manager. He's built a Super Bowl winning team. And it's when people doubt that sometimes you look back and you say, wow, we didn't know. People didn't know what Ozzie Newsome was really onto with Lamar Jackson, and look at what he's done here. So I believe that guys have to do this. Hurts had success. I mean, when he left the field against Clemson, Alabama was in the lead. It was Alabama's defense with all those first-round picks that gave it up to Deshaun Watson and lost the national championship game. That game was not on Jalen Hurts. Okay?
I mean,
Jalen Hurts, he did his job in that particular game as much as he could.
No, think about the Romo. So Romo was here, and I believe 2015, he breaks his collarbone twice. All right? The next season, they pick up Dak because Romo is injury prone at this point, so they need to have a backup quarterback. He goes in against Seattle, and he messes up his back. And then Dak steps in as a serviceable quarterback, and now he's a star. I think it's kind of the same situation that they have Jalen Hurts in right now with Carson Wentz being injury prone and them picking up a guy who can come in and maybe do what Dak did.
Danny, because you have to have insurance. I mean, if it's one thing you've seen with Carson Wentz, you have to have some type of insurance. And I think Howie Roseman did the right thing. And I believe that Jalen Hurts can play in this league based on what he did in college. And with the speed receivers that they decided to put up there in Philadelphia, I think it fits into what Jalen can do. So it'll be interesting to see, guys. It will be very interesting to see. The Last Dance parts 3 and 4 were aired this past week. Gentlemen, did you see my quick 3-second cameo interviewing Dennis Rodman?
And he had a full head of hair, man. He had a full head of hair, man.
My boy had the 360 waves going, man. I see you, Newy. My boy had that camel toe brush. Well, I tell you, that thing going nice. I see you.
That's when you walk around with the brush in your back pocket, dude.
I own 3 brushes. I had a brush that I kept in the car, I had a brush that I kept in the office, and I had a brush that I kept at home. Yes. So I had hair, glasses, and a fresh 1990s Arizona kind of plaidish shirt. So yes, I'm very happy now. This documentary is a award-winning documentary. As I made my 3-second clip talking to Dennis Rodman.
Let me ask you a question, dude. Were you more of a Murray's gel, or you had the sporting waves, the 360 sporting waves?
Yeah, see, I didn't like the Murray pomade because it made my hair gray. If you put too much in, it was too heavy. So the sporting waves was a little bit better. So I was a big sporting waves guy. But at the end of the day, it is one of the big con jobs they've done on black men because them things don't work. Okay, I got 2 waves out of it. It didn't really work. I spent way too much on that product. So yeah, it was a big.
It might have been your bristles. It might have. Did you have a medium? The medium bristles, or did you have the hard brush?
No, I got rid of the hard brush. My head's sensitive, so I had the nice soft brush. But I'm just telling you, overall, nice man, it didn't work. They just taking brothers' money. That's all they took.
Listeners out there, do not use when you're young. Do not use the hard brush. You see what happens when you use the hard brush?
It brushed church hair right off the scalp.
Right off the scalp. Do not use the hard brush when you're young. Just putting it out there.
So I gotta get you. No, I ain't gonna grow no dreads. Now, I gotta get you guys' take. Did you have sympathy for Isaiah Thomas in The Last Dance at all with his feud with Michael Jordan?
No, I didn't have any sympathy for him. I mean, my guy was kicking Michael Jordan's butt 3 years straight before they finally took him down. And those 3 years, every time Michael Jordan went up there and shook his hand and displayed good sportsmanship. So for Isaiah to sit there and say, no, we didn't do that back in the day. It wasn't like that. Everybody did that when they lost. I think that was complete bull. And I don't have any sympathy for him, man.
Yeah, man. Some people you just can't cross like that, man. You got to know who you're dealing with. Some people hold grudges, and that grudge has been held for a long time, and you just got to take that L. You wanted to go out there and be disrespectful. You were going to shake the dude's hand, and somebody came and told you we ain't shaking their hand, so you automatically knew it was wrong because you were going to do the right thing, and you let somebody come over and change your mind. So with that, you got to take what Jordan is giving you.
Well, I found this to be 4 episodes of great TV.
That was good. It's good.
Really
Fellas, I'm sitting around here waiting on when I get to find out who Judd Bushler is. A lot of people don't know who Judd Bushler is, so I'm looking forward to seeing that in the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, I don't even know who Judd Bushler is.
Me neither. I'm gonna find out. Listen, how about Dennis Rodman taking a vacation in the middle of the season, going to the great Sin City?
Who gets away with that? That's what I'm saying. Like, who said, you know what, Coach? I didn't put this work in the first half of the season. I'm gonna go ahead and go gamble a little bit and hang out. I'll be back in a couple games. What?
give me 2 days, and then you don't even come back. They gotta fly all the way out to Vegas and get you.
How was he able to finish the season? Like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand.
Some people built different, man. Some people built different.
And this is true.
Oh yeah, Newy. Check this out.
Yes.
So it's a TV show called The Scheme, and it's
I saw it.
it kind of.
I saw
you
it.
saw it. Church, you got to watch this, man. It follows the FBI trying to figure out how these college coaches are getting paid and how the money flows between players getting paid to come to certain schools and go to certain agencies, and it's this whole FBI task force that set this thing up, and I think it's like 2 hours long, but it's good, bro. You got to check it out.
Check it out.
Scheme.
All right, I'm going to check it out. The Steam. All right.
Church, you're gonna find out how dirty LSU basketball is when you watch this. By the way,
I'm a LSU football guy, and listen, they only listen. That was only the most recent LSU basketball coach, not the ones in the past. He's a new breed. He's a new breed.
They didn't pay O'Neal to go back there.
I don't know about all that. I was a young man. I didn't know a dollar from a dime at that point.
Well, Shaq actually had a relationship with Dale Brown when his dad was stationed in Germany, and that relationship ended up continuing, and that was one reason why he chose LSU over our beloved Tar Heels. So that was how that relationship was formed. But Will Wade is down there making quote unquote strong blank offers to recruits, and that was
him and some other guys
in there. So yeah,
just watch it, Church. You know. He gonna find a reason to hate on LSU. I don't know why.
I'm not hating. That's the FBI who sat around there and covered it. But at the end of the day, what I found amazing is that the head coaches all stayed clean, and the people who had charges brought against them and got fired were the assistants. Now, none of these assistants they have the juice to do all this stuff without the head coach's knowledge. I mean, we all know these college coaches are type A personalities, and to think that these guys were just running around here giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars and the head coach didn't know anything because the head coach is down there in the basement watching film is beyond laughable to me.
Well, you're not gonna bring up the ethnicity of these guys, but like the dudes that went to jail, they all look the same except one Adidas guy. So you'll see it when you watch it.
I'll have to check it out, man.
Yes, it just reminds you what the judicial system is today. Yes, very much so, Danny. Very much so. Hey, fellas, that's been an hour. All right, we fly by on this show. It's a lot of fun. We appreciate everybody who checked us out here. Danny, Barry, fellas, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll get back together on Friday for another edition of the Players Lounge. I'm Newy Scruggs. Take care, everybody.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!